Hi, my name is Leslie Williams, and today's date is June 29, 2012, and I want to make this statement to you. In reference to you being able to witness some of my videos. You hear this? Listen to this. Seven times out of 10, when I start thinking about the San Diego police or the fire department's involvement in this crime towards me, literally within a second, the sirens start, and I just got done processing information in reference to them. That's where the remote neural monitoring comes into play. It's nothing but an association game they play from a distance. Google organized stalking and police siren harassment. Then Google police siren harassment and remote neural monitoring. I haven't done that one yet. I'm going to do it at Google though. But I'm going to direct you to a website. It's called www.bugsuite.com. And I strongly suggest you take a thorough, extensive research into what's listed on their webpage, and then cross-reference it to the PDF links that are on the internet that you can find concerning remote neural monitoring by Googling remote neural monitoring online. Now, the only way that fellow citizens are going to be able to understand these types of expeditions is to also cross-reference the material that you will find at United Targeted Individuals Europe.com. Again, that is United Targeted Individuals Europe.com, because these crimes are not only national in the United States, but they're transnational and international. It's organized crime in the system that is literally perpetrating these crimes it's nothing but literally organized crime that it's a syndicate in the United States, and the same type of technology and expeditions are also being used in Canada. From what I'm reading on the internet, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, Europe, the Netherlands. I don't know about the Netherlands, but anyways, just stay with me. My name is Leslie Williams, and if you really had any idea who you're listening to right now, I guarantee you this right now, you would watch every single one of my videos. My father was Chief MP to General Curtis LeMay. And who is he? Well, who was he? He was the person who literally developed the Air Force Strategic Air Command, okay, into what it is today. I have NASA in my family, high-ranking retired Air Force individuals, uncles and cousins, and my ex-husband was in the Navy. I've been a human experimentation target my whole entire life and did not know it. And the government has done nothing but literally keep track of me my whole entire life, especially since I have reached the age of 18. My ex-husband was nothing but an intimate infiltration as a result of him and his family connections being attached to the same organized crime syndicate. Now, how is the military attached to organized crime? Well, I suggest you start researching it. My name is Leslie Williams. It's a sad state of affairs what I've come to understand in my adulthood, because it's been actually traumatic in reference to discovering that my parents were connected to organized crime and sold at least three of four of their children to human experimentation and for eventual exploitation that has criminal aspirations obviously attached to it if it's exploitation. And they figured instead of just killing back in the 70s and 80s when they were doing these human experimentations, technology has developed on a rapid scale. And from what I am understanding, a lot of the people that were used for human experimentation back in the 60s and 70s have been killed off through creative means by the government. And the ones that they didn't kill off, they just decided that they would continue to use for updated technologies that they developed in the midst of these decades and years passing by, and to also make money off them through any means that they could, including using because this is organized crime that's not only in the system, this is also organized crime that has tentacles to it that's in the community, including institutions. Now, if you went to Google right now and cross-referenced human experimentation to universities, look at not only how many Google-generated responses you would get back to it, but how long it's been going on. Okay? Now, government human experimentation has always been attached to, in part, universities, because universities is where they get a lot of the doctors and where a lot of the research studies is done in reference to the actual experimentation. Now, I'd suggest you take a close, long look at how much UCSD is involved in human research and in experimentation. I'm just now becoming familiar with how involved they are in it, because I just now started going to UCSD in reference to going to their campus for using the internet, where I'm subject to organized stalking tactics by employees, students, and even their bus service drivers. Their bus drivers who run the transportation services from Old Town and Hillcrest UCSD to the actual university campus. I've literally been gaslighted by even UCSD medical center staff as they're coming in or leaving work while I'm waiting at the bus stop. Okay, by UCSD bus drivers, by UCSD biomedical library staff, by UCSD students, and by UCSD restaurant employees when I go into specific restaurants on their campus, because through the notification, what is known as a community notification, and as a result of GPS tracking and stalking, they are able to identify it, and remote neural monitoring, they're able to identify and mark where a target is at all times and what they're processing at all times. That's where the remote neural monitoring comes into play in these expeditions. And and this is done, the surveillance is done so they know where to place the organized stalkers. And they're not even stalkers, they're just people that are used for a day, that are used to engage in sensitization tactic that a target experiences from anybody they come in contact with. In other words, like if a target goes into a business, see, here's electronic harassment. This is the siren harassment. See, when a target goes, Google organized stalking and police sirens or fire truck sirens. When a target goes from one place to another, as a result of them thinking about where they're going, the remote neural monitor ascertains that information. The person who's monitoring the monitor then at that time places individuals that they get for that day to harass a target for them, but usually based on lies, intimidation, slander, small monetary exchanges, or any other type of cooperation that they can obtain, solicitation for this help in reference to they get along a target's path and they're told what to do. And basically, the only thing that's really stalking a target is the sensitization that a target's been sensitized to, which are physical gestures and verbal comments. They're called direct conversation tactics. This, in turn, is a result of constantly being subjected to the same sensitization tactics by different people. A target feels stalked, because once the association's been formed in a target's mind that they're constantly experiencing through observation and through hearing, the repeated verbal statements and the repeated physical gestures that are the same every day, they in turn feel stalked. But they're not able to figure out how it's being done, since so many different people are doing it. It's not different people that are stalking a target. It's one or two to 3 to 5 different people managing all these people, different people, on a daily basis to get along a target's route to engage in the same verbal statements and same physical gestures. It's the sensitization that's stalking the target, and they're just using multiple different kinds of people through lies, slander, money, bartering, intimidation, and any other type of avenue that they can coerce and dupe these people into getting along a target's path to repeat the physical gestures and the verbal statements. Now, well, let me just put it to you this way. Say if you go to Walmart, and on your route there on the bus, somebody sits next to you, purposely bumps you on the shoulder in a way to where you can obviously deduce that it was done purposely, but since you don't want to, be involved in any kind of altercation, you just ignore it, and the person will usually say, "Excuse me," as they're doing it, or right after they've done it. But as they're doing it, they'll make a statement like "crazy," or they'll bump you, and as they're bumping you, they'll say "weird," and then they'll say "excuse me." Then you get to Walmart, you get off the bus, and on your way to Walmart, somebody bumps you as you're walking down the street towards Walmart, and as they bump you, they say "weird" or "crazy." And then they say, "excuse me." Then you get into Walmart, and you're walking through the aisles, and throughout all the different aisles and departments that you're in while you're at Walmart, you're bumped around 7 or 8 times while people are saying "weird" or "crazy" as they're bumping you. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. They're sensitizing you to being bumped and to the word "weird" and "crazy." Then they get along your routes from Walmart and do the same exact thing to you, okay? Every single day for a month to 40 days. Every single day. And then they'll eventually drop the bumping, where they bump into you, and then they'll just get in front of you or around you and say weird and crazy. And they'll interlace these certain type of statements within conversations they're either having on their cell phone or with another party actually in the environment you're in, like in a restaurant or a movie theater or on a bus or on a trolley. And they'll get around you and purposely sit around you and repeat the word weird and crazy constantly. This gets your attention. They'll also repeat and sensitize you to these types of words as you're being assaulted, which also includes rapes. Okay? Because the whole goal is to sensitize you to certain physical actions, physical gestures. Like they might get around you and do the same thing, and right before or right after they say weird or crazy, they'll put their hands to their mouth. And then subject you to that same exact thing every single day, all day long, along all of your routes for 30 to 40 days until you're sensitized to it. And then they keep doing it. And the whole goal is to sensitize you to the verbal statement or the physical gesture. And they use multiple different types of verbal statements and multiple different types of physical gestures. This in turn makes you feel stalked, and it also creates and reinforces neural responses to the physical gestures and the verbal statements because they're constantly repeated, which keeps your mind in a circular loop of neural responses to this type of overt harassment. And this is what they do. And since so many different people are doing it purposely towards you because of the amount of times you witness it, you realize that these people are being put along your path deliberately. And this in turn makes you feel stalked because you don't know any of these people and harassed as a result. My name is Leslie Williams. I make these video files to help people understand the factual realities in reference to the different types of schemes. And this is only a small section, a small section of the type of harassment that targets experience on a daily basis. The same types of taunting and harassing are also done and delivered through what is known as the microwave auditory effect, that is transmitted through a target from a distance. In other words, a target hears it but cannot identify who's transmitting it or who's responsible for it. So a target is subjected to non-stop harassment every single day, whether they're in a location like where I'm at right now, or along my walking routes, my transportation routes, which definitely includes public transportation, MTS. MTS is involved in this crime like you would not believe, okay? And they're not doing nothing but putting people along my path at Old Town while I'm waiting for UCSD bus or any other bus or any other MTS bus route that I might choose to take on a given day. And they're putting them on the bus routes and trolley routes I'm on. This is what is known as organized stalking. So I'm here today, fellow citizens, to expose you to the truths and the factual realities of just this aspect of the expedition. Homelessness is also created towards a target. Yeah, because the whole goal of the reason why the initiation of the campaign was brought about towards a target to begin with is for future continued human experimentation and behavior modification, property co-opting, finance co-opting, which is nothing but where they legally take custody of a target's finances by claiming the target cannot take care of themselves because they're homeless and because they're entering police departments and making all these reports that people are stalking them that they do not know. So then the police officer writes in his report, target seems mentally ill. And that's the whole reason why these expeditions are done, in part, is to be able to take over the legal custody of a target's finances by claiming the target's delusional, paranoid, schizophrenic, bipolar, or any other schizoaffective or any other type of mental diagnosis that they can label a target with to make it look like they have a legitimate reason to contain a target in syndicated probate attorney guardianship control. And this is done to legally co-opt the target's finances, their monthly Social Security check, to then exploit the Medicare in a syndicated run group home, and to also try and brain and train a target for prostitution using remote neural monitoring to stimulate the neural pathways that were entrained. My name is Leslie Williams, and the reason why I'm making this video, and I'm going to tell you something right now today, and I apologize I'm laying down, but us targets don't get a lot of chances to somewhat relax. Electronic harassment is constantly perpetrated towards a target, And I've caught electronic harassment on digital tape recorders so many times it's mind-boggling, because the electronic harassment that's transmitted towards a target is transmitted in the extra low frequency wave spectrum, which is the same exact wave spectrum that digital tape recorders run on. They run in the same low inductive rate. Now, bugsuite.com is a corporation that tries to track and identify where electronic harassment is being transmitted from towards a particular target. But since they make targets destitute, they'll stage vehicle accidents so a target don't even have a car to sleep in once evictions have been orchestrated from behind the scenes, by getting landlords and property owners involved, and by organized stalkers who will rent apartments next to targets to drive them crazy, to either make them want to leave their apartment, and if they don't, they'll create incidences to where it appears that evictions were done legitimately, or they'll just basically come up with other type of excuses why a target has to leave the apartment. And this is all done to create destitution, so they can then try to claim that the target's destitute and is possibly mentally ill because they got a monthly paycheck but won't get an apartment. Bullshit. Because they'll gang stalk you through the stalking to another apartment, employ electronic harassment. They'll get the next landlord involved in these schemes, and they will also employ electronic harassment towards the target at this new apartment. They'll also break into the apartment and do numerous things to a target's belongings and property to make them feel violated and untrustworthy in reference to their safety. Because if a person's entering your apartment and leaving their door wide open, you come home and find it wide open, then how safe are you going to feel in your apartment while you're sleeping, especially if you're a woman? And this is why they do what they do, to make targets feel hypersensitive, hyper alert, paranoid that something's going to happen to them, because they're also physically assaulted along their walking routes when they're in the community. Yeah, but and when these people physically assault you, they say things to you that you hear your landlord mention through creative means when he's having a conversation when you're around him on his cell phone. It's a direct conversation tactic. Or when he's talking to you, he'll slip a specific word in that a person has said to you while they're assaulting you. And this is done to form the association in your mind that the landlord's involved in this, to make you understand that you're not going to get no help in reference to the powerlessness over what also is happening to you at the apartment complex, as a result of people literally running apartments that are adjacent to you, or getting people that are already in those apartments on board in these campaigns to harass you, keep you up at night, poison your food, kill your cat, come in and steal your bank card and then replace it. They haven't done that with the current bank card I got, but I don't even use my bank card, so I ain't worried about it. But understand this and be clear. They are using the direct conversation tactic over at UCSD Biomedical Library. But people that come in and sit next to me, they literally make statements as they're sitting next to me that they're going to infiltrate my bank account and liquidate my Social Security direct deposit. And this is literally what they do, okay, to make a target fearful that they're going to be robbed and they're not going to be able to identify the perpetrators involved. Now, understand this and be clear as well. There's been many times that through my bank I have tried to establish and activate a protection plan against identity theft and stuff like that, and my bank will not initiate it. And they're using clever, sophisticated means to make it appear that for one reason or another it won't be activated, like stating that they don't have the right documentation, or that the right people haven't been notified, or to make it look like the information fell through the cracks, and as a result the actual activation of the protection wasn't initiated. All you have to do is Google organized stalking or gang stalking bank employees or bank managers, and you'll look at how many responses you'll get. This is what is known as a tidbit file. And tidbit files are flashpoints of tidbits of information pertaining to organized stalking expeditions. And I'm here to tell you today, fellow citizens and fellow San Diegoans, that they will eventually try and set me up in some type of incident that happens along my routes, Old Town, trolley routes, trolley stations, walking routes, business community, or at this location that I'm at right now, okay, to make it appear that they have a legitimate reason to either petition me into the hospital or county mental health, or to at least file falsified documents through the police department, falsified police reports, the statements that are made in them. Yeah, the target seems delusional or mentally ill or whatever, because they take the accumulated documentation between doctors and hospitals, county mental health, and the police reports, and they take all this documentation and whisk it before a syndicated judge, who then appoints you as a guardian of the state. And this is where the organized crime syndicate that is literally buying HUD homes, okay, through the mortgage co-opting and the land co-opting aspect of their expeditions. They're buying HUD homes, and they're setting them up to where they can house anywhere between 7 and 10 people on disability, for whatever reason that they're on disability, and then they just go hunting after people that are on it, to take everything they got, to take them out of their home, to stage vehicle accidents so they don't even have a car to sleep in, so they can then claim, as a result of a target being destitute, they can then claim that the target cannot take care of themselves, and this is how they take the legal custody of them. This is literally how they operate. Go to Google and type in gang stalking tech, everything you need to know. It's a manifesto of a manager of organized stalking crews. He flat out states all the different types of sections that the syndicate's involved in. Bureau of Technology, Bureau of Travel, which is where the transit workers comes in play at, Amtrak workers, Greyhound workers, and metropolitan bus transportations like MTS, Metropolitan Services. Yes, because they are directly involved in getting anybody and everybody in the keys. Let me tell you something about it. These people did their homework. They create vehicle accidents so you'd have a car to sleep in, so they know the target's going to end up using public transportation, so they did nothing but infiltrate the transportation system and make sure that the right people get hired, and or approach people that can be influenced through money or other bartering approaches to get them on board in these campaigns, okay? To aid and abet them in any way that their transportation and their employment description can be used for, in reference to making sure staged incidences and events that are brought about, like on a bus or at a trolley station or a trolley route or a bus station, can be expedited to where the transportation services security won't be there as the expedition or the assault is happening, but they arrive on the scene after the actual event is over with. And why is that? Because the witnesses are staged, and because the security staff itself has been coached about what to do in reference to the theme of the incident they stage, by trying to claim, oh, the target's either to blame for it, or if the situation gets out of control, they'll say, yeah, this guy was in here bothering people earlier today or last week, and they've been cited 4 times for this type of harassment, so you're not the only one, because they don't want to make it appear on paper that this what's happening to a target is a unique situation that's only happening towards a target. Purposely, they're trying to deflect the truth by either discrediting the target, okay, or by discrediting the person they use. If the situation they stage gets out of their control and doesn't bear the original fruit they tried to initiate to begin with. And why do they do that? Because they know I wear a digital tape recorder that tapes all the instances that come about towards me, unless they use remote neural monitoring to cleverly turn it off before I notice it, which is what they did on August 17, 2011, when they staged an assault. I make these videos for you, for my viewers, okay, so they can understand what's happening towards us fellow Americans. I make these videos in order to be able to brief targets on what might occur towards them, okay, and what I'm sure will eventually occur towards them. See, because when you have knowledge about something, when you understand about how these perpetrators operate, then you can watch your back about what decisions to make, which ones not to make, okay, what to watch out for, what to be careful about, and to expose the type of people that are being used, so you can watch your back in those avenues as well, like transportation services, MTS, bus drivers, MTS security. And so if you're in a different city, whatever your public transportation is, understand this and be clear. I have already found YouTube videos that flat out say that transit workers are involved in organized stalking. That YouTube video is already pasted in some of my blogs, okay? And social services workers are involved in these expeditions, county mental health workers, doctors in neighborhood hospitals, doctors that own their own private practices that have been involved in these expeditions, police officers, firefighters, lawyers, judges, prosecutors, members of the DA's office. It's organized crime in the system that has tentacles attached to the organized crime that they're attached to out in the community as well. My name is Leslie Williams, and I'm here today to tell you that they go after anybody. The person who's watching this video right now can be walking down the street and can be eyeballed by one of these freaks, okay? And what they'll do is follow you home. They have connections in the telephone company to where they can tap your phone, and they can get into your life years before you even know that, before they've even introduced their campaign towards you, in order to be able to scrutinize any information that might help them in the expedition they eventually bring about towards you, by tapping your phone to see how tight you are with your family, how many friends you got. They'll even infiltrate your friends' lives. Understand this and be very clear. It's organized crime in the system, and they don't do nothing but tear apart people's lives, every area of their life, in order to be able to take what you got, your property, your money. They'll blacklist you from employment. They'll stage vehicle accidents. They'll have you evicted, all to put you out on the street, and then they will, through a clever adjusting means, expel you from benefits from social services. And how do they do that? By when, like, say if I'm getting ready to go down and apply for food stamps, they might give me a huge amount of food stamp benefits per month, and wait until I go through them, and then claim that they gave me the wrong amount, and until I pay back what was used, I cannot receive no future benefits. Then in the midst of that, they'll take away my Social Security. What's left? How am I going to eat? How am I going to eat? Then they'll put men along my path and offer me sex for money. Do you see how it works? Yeah. These things are done through creative, normal appearing mishaps, bringing about a bona fide intentional result. They frame the situation to frame the results by using normal appearing mishaps and using the target as eventual bait to get the target to engage in specific things. If you go down and apply for food stamps and they tell you that you're eligible for $200 worth, and they let you use that $200 each month for 4 months, that's 2, 4, 6, 8, that's $800. Then they'll take away your Social Security. If they know you only have $1,000 saved, then what they'll do is get social services to say, we estimated your benefits wrong. We gave you too much. In order for you to continue to receive any kind of benefits, you're going to have to pay back what you used. You don't have the money to do it because you just lost Social Security. Yeah. And they know that there's a great likelihood that any money you got left on you, you're going to keep in order to survive because you just lost Social Security. So now they have a legitimate appearing reason to take you off of social services benefits, and they just write out the time until you go through the rest of your cash, and then they put men along your path. Yeah, to offer you sex for money. Yeah, and then when you eventually run out of money for food, what do you think's going to happen? You're going to start contemplating, can I get with this guy? All I got to do is do it just one time with this guy, and everything will be all right, and I'll be able to eat. That's a neural network. They're deliberately creating neural networks and reinforcing them so they can identify and mark them with remote neural monitoring, and then stimulate the whole neural pathway. All the thought processes, all the associated motor cortex associated behaviors that are attached to it. It won't be bad. All I gotta do is get with this guy this one time and go with him, and everything will be all right. And then the person gets up and goes to him, has the sex, gets the money, leaves. All of that is one neural pathway. They identify and mark it using remote neural monitoring, and will stimulate it back in current time, in current consciousness, to be rethought out and reacted upon. And they stimulate it below the perceptual radar, so you have no idea you've been stimulated. And since they stimulate it in such a pulsating manner, they modulate the frequency and keep it stimulated by pulsating that frequency that they've interfaced with the bioelectric frequency of that specific neural network. You are not able to literally consciously deliberate any other thought processes while they have that current one active. So you cannot even counter-react that thought process that's coming back into your mind that's been stimulated below your perceptual radar. So you just believe you're having the same type of thought process to the same current devastation and destitution. And this is literally how they operate. It's nothing but legal, where they're using legal appearing avenues to screw you out, to put you in situations that you got to survive in order to be able to create and reinforce neural pathways for human trafficking. My name is Leslie Williams. This is nothing but neural enslavement, and I expose these crimes and the type of schemes they use to bring them about, and the people they use to cultivate them, in San Diego, California.